Welcome back. I'm Karen, founder and managing director of Orchid Leadership Coaching and Consultancy Limited, encouraging you to embrace the leader within. Whether you're a CEO leading a company, an executive leading a team of innovators, an emerging entrepreneur, or a working or stay-at-home parent leading the family and home, now's the time to embrace the future, empower the new you. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of Enlightened Leadership Coaching Snippets, a new season of podcasts linking to domains of leadership, where we will be exploring different terrains and jurisdictions where one potentially may lead, whilst reviewing some key starting points and strategies within that leadership journey. In this episode, we'll be deep diving into becoming your own boss, awakening the entrepreneur within. If you missed our earlier episodes, don't worry. They're available to download on numerous major podcast platforms, now including YouTube under Orchid Leadership. Do ensure to like and subscribe or follow so not to miss out on future upcoming episodes. Getting back to today's episode, focusing on becoming your own boss, awakening the entrepreneur within. For this episode, we are still looking within ourselves, but perhaps a more deeper introspective dive into what it takes to awaken the entrepreneur that may be hidden in the deep recesses of our thoughts and perhaps dreams, as well as highlighting the becoming process for those considering embarking upon the entrepreneurship journey. Now, back in Season 2, we dipped our toes into entrepreneurship, reviewing a little of the reprogramming that is often required to enable that sapling entrepreneur to emerge. In this episode, we'll be taking that a step further and really turning the lens on how we lead ourselves as an entrepreneur and how as a budding entrepreneur we turn a sapling into a mature oak of a boss. So let's leap right in. As explored previously, entrepreneurship involves identifying our big why, our passion that drives us, and boldly stepping out well beyond our comfort zone, journeying through fear and risk, whilst focusing on daily learning and growth towards building what could be our own business, a new idea, or a means of impactful innovation. But why do this at all? What drives us towards leading ourselves as an entrepreneur and becoming our own boss? Perhaps after the initial limiting beliefs have quietened for a moment, that dream hiding in the recesses of your mind just won't diminish, and what was once quite dormant becomes a nagging thought of, what if I could? Or maybe I should? Or perhaps the competitive struggle of climbing that evasive ladder has lost its attraction and drive. Maybe you're experiencing a means of suffocation in your present environment. Or you've even grown tired and weary of who you are right now and strive for the you should become if the right circumstances were created. So let's say we have our big why, our passion that drives us. We've done the necessary reflection, the necessary inner work on our mental strength and capacity. We've reprogrammed our mind such that we're able to challenge those invading limiting beliefs. We've broken loose from the 9-to-5 drudge and into our own self-governed sphere of freedom, of embarking upon the journey of who we visualize ourselves becoming. But what then? Becoming an entrepreneur, taking that first step, isn't the end game. It isn't the finalized outcome or goal. It's just one of many goals that lead to create the big picture of our life's purpose that we've visualized and planned for ourselves. In the journey of becoming the new you, towards the big purpose as part of the bigger dream. So, as a new entrepreneur, a sapling who is learning new things every day in the big, wide, grown-up world of business or innovation, where do we start? How do we develop the building blocks of self-governance to lead ourselves forward towards the vision we are aspiring towards? Without the disciplined 9-to-5 framework, with built-in deadlines and expectations, how do we compensate or replace that such that we aren't just replacing one 9-to-5 with another version of it, but more a means of self-governance and leadership that takes us further along our path, our journey, our purpose as an entrepreneur and as our own leader of self, to fulfill our ultimate life's purpose. Firstly, know yourself well. Fine-tune your self-awareness. Harness that which is innate within yourself, that inner power of intuition, whether innate or learned. Know not only who you are and what is of meaning to you, but also consistently challenge and interrogate your purpose. Trim it to highlight its core and true niche. Truly understand where you fit into your environment. You may already know what drives you, but do you also know what triggers you or what hinders you? There will be times where, as an entrepreneur, as a person, you will feel lost, despondent. You may feel stuck and reach stagnation. Expect to feel this way. Add it to one of the many emerging triggers. Always revert back to your big why, the passion that drives you. Seek help, perhaps from a coach or mentor. Review your plans, your goals, and develop your immediate next step to remove yourself from stagnation and back towards momentum. In addition to knowing yourself, also know what your ideal client or your environment really wants or demands. The purpose of business is to bring your clients a greater benefit or added value. Ask questions. Be curious. Build authentic relationships and create opportunities to positively influence the environment in which you are swimming as an entrepreneur. Create a vision that you can articulate with clarity. As an entrepreneur and leader, your vision encapsulates what your business or innovation is at its root core. A vision which is articulated with clarity not only re-inspires and self-motivates you to remain resilient, but also inspires and aligns others to your message. Become your own visionary. We often push others to grow, whether through mentorship, through coaching, through training. But when it comes to our own growth, as an entrepreneur, it becomes our own responsibility to gain clarity in our own personal and professional development planning and pathway. Thinking in terms of how we want to be different a year from now, and breaking that down into smaller chunks or blocks of growth. Whether that be through education, learning new skills, growth and experience, increase of personal and professional networks, and growth in areas as EQ, coaching, relationship building. Your ability to self-motivate, to be self-driven towards success, even through repeated failure, is a means by which, as an entrepreneur, you need to instill within your self-leadership repertoire. Be your own inspiration. As a young sapling entrepreneur, you may not initially have a team, but may begin as an initial solopreneur path. Therefore, you are the only source of inspiration, so you need to step up, or alternatively source a mentor who can support your initial steps into the ever-bustling business environment. As we listen to others, so too must we listen to ourselves. Listen to yourself with the central intention of understanding. Instill the ability to distill what you need as a person, what you need as a business owner or entrepreneur, and what the business needs as a next step. Sometimes it's that same voice that tells you not to just keep going or to push on, but to also to take time out, to give yourself a break, or to reflect on the positive milestones which you have accomplished thus far in your journey. Be patient with yourself. Often we know what it takes when leading others when it comes to treating them well, in acting with empathy, compassion, forgiveness. But do we have the capacity to show those same necessary attributes to ourselves when leading ourselves as an entrepreneur? Even if we mess up, if we fail, if we don't meet our own goal or expectation. As our own boss, there is time for being your own toughest critique and taskmaster, whilst also ensuring your own mental well-being, life-work integration, perseverance and resilience needs are met. Remind yourself that the times where we fail or fall short are valuable learning points. They teach us how or why to do something, and how to innovate through fresh ideas and methodology. As self-governing entrepreneurs, we gain credibility not only with those around us, but also from our inner self in the way we self-manage and lead our inner purpose. How do we manage and lead through our decision-making? Do we show focus? Are we intentional about our choices? Once we've made those critical leadership decisions, how are we managing those on a day-to-day basis? Are we holding ourselves accountable to our emotions? As an entrepreneur, even if a solopreneur, we need to be self-disciplined and self-regulate our emotions, our triggers, and to show growth in social intelligence, in our interactions, relationships, our personal and professional networks. Being disciplined with our time is also a vital consideration, not just in terms of prioritization of tasks and making one's own deadlines, but also of integrating all aspects of our life into our calendar to achieve true work-life integration, rather than balancing what could be seen as two opposing or conflicting areas. As an entrepreneur, our professional and personal home life can become somewhat merged at times, particularly as hybrid models of working become commonplace. So it is essential that we work on integrating everything that is worth our time into the time that we have each day and each week. Taking a firm hold on our thinking as entrepreneurs is a good practice to master. Firstly, in recognizing and challenging the inevitable limiting beliefs that will invade you constantly, and which, if left unchecked, can hinder your progress greatly to the point of stagnation and demoralization. Recognizing, challenging, and reprogramming is a cycle that as an entrepreneur one must become accustomed to. In addition, it's good practice to write down any negative thoughts that are invading our mind as a means of recognition. Plus, as a contrast, to jot down areas you want to develop from thought to idea to practice, but perhaps you don't yet have the time. This will create a basis to create and integrate some thinking time into your coming day or week to incorporate all that is worthy of your thought and time. Think in terms of the long game, where we think beyond the initial decision that is to be made and think of it in terms of a wider vision, mission, and the desired outcome which may not emerge for months or even years ahead of that decision. We become masters of chunking up and down to view the big picture scenario, whilst also being able to chunk down to the smaller details when required. Thinking big picture and beyond the day-to-day details is a clear way to think more in terms of your business growth rather than just about your individual growth in isolation. Viewing the broader context enables us to plan ahead, to visualize the journey, and to adequately prepare through foreseeing the future path and potential obstacles and opportunities. Our ability and willingness to lead ourselves as an entrepreneur makes pushing boundaries and taking risks part of our entrepreneurial DNA. Much of our leadership will entail engaging the necessary discipline to follow through on our goals and actions. However, there's also call for finding innovation and innovative ways to move forward, to move beyond our comfort zone, to think outside the box. The balance between gently maintaining the momentum forward and bullying ourselves. The key is not to become too pushy, but just pushy enough to feel movement and innovation. As we begin to fill our entrepreneur shoes, it's time then to position ourselves as a leader within the community we are serving, to show our expertise and thought leadership in our area of expertise and relevance. Delivering value and not just quick fix has to be the priority. As an entrepreneur, we are in it for the long haul. Therefore, we need to consistently consider areas of service that add value to those we plan to serve as returning clients or customers. Being open-minded, knowing when to consider other ideas or to be humble and ask for help, guidance, coaching or mentorship enables growth at the right junctures of the journey. We always need to reflect back to our big why, our passion. It's not about us. It's about those you are serving or that big innovation you are developing as an entrepreneur. As your own boss, you are the one who initiates and builds any kind of relationship to help initiate, establish, and grow your business or to further your ideas and innovations. Relationships matter. People do business with people they've built trust and relationship with, and very often are most likely to return for more business and make recommendations if satisfied. Know that as someone who is self-governing as an entrepreneur, you have gone all in. You are no longer merely dipping your toes into the cool waters. You've jumped in the icy depth with both feet, without a lifebuoy. So you'd better have bought into your own vision, be willing to play at 200% dedication, and have gained clarity as to how to build efficiency and maintain productivity within your own performance. Look for results and not excuses. As your own boss, you are accountable to yourself and your business. So try without inviting self-sabotage or creating self-inducing limiting beliefs to avoid bias, avoid emotion, and avoid assumptions. And reflect on objective data, planning and follow-up and follow-through of next steps. All this, of course, means nothing without the right attitude. To lead yourself as a great boss, you need a growth mindset, a positive and forward-thinking attitude, Become your own team player, your own cheerleader. And lastly, appreciate the value of your position. Very few people have the opportunity or take the brave step towards entrepreneurship. It's a road less travelled. And as a self-governing entrepreneur, as your own boss, you are on a unique journey. So value yourself. Value your learnings, your growth. Value each step you have taken, each milestone, each failure, and tell yourself as your own boss that you're worthy of this journey, and look to the future with hope and a broad smile, knowing that the end goal, your life's purpose, is within reach, and it's worth it. A challenge I lay before you. Take measure of the nagging thoughts at the recesses of your mind. What do they tell you? What is your big why? What is your passion to drive you forward? How well do you know yourself? What drives you? What triggers you? And how self-aware are you? And how will you become your own visionary? Feel free to get in contact if you'd like to gain additional clarity in any of the areas discussed in today's episode. And feel free to share some of your follow-up actions with me on any of my social media platforms, including my YouTube channel, Orchid Leadership. Or alternatively, share a comment with me right here on Podbean, where the podcast is hosted after listening. I look forward to our next podcast session, which will continue this season linking to domains of leadership, where we will be deep diving into leading others, awakening the team leader. So make sure you tune in next time and engage with me after the session about your thoughts and personal takeaways. Until then, please remember, if this podcast episode added value to your day or evening, download it, share it with your colleagues and friends, and of course ensure to follow or subscribe so that you don't miss out on future episodes. And remember, embrace the future, empower the new you, awaken the leader within, and let's take back control of our aspirations. Thanks for listening.